Hey, this is Rick Probst.
And Dan Ratcliffe.
And I'm Morgan.
You're listening to Faith Talk Live, and on Zoom and on the radio, we're talking with Steve Arterburn, the host of New Life Live. It's always good to talk to you, Steve. How are you?
Well, I'm okay. I'm in this is day 11 of 14 days of self-imposed isolation after I got off a plane from California 2 Sundays ago, and my wife's had a little struggle with her autoimmune system, so I didn't want to get her exposed. I don't have any symptoms or anything other than the fact that I think I am certifiably mentally ill now after isolation. So
that's very funny because all of us have been socially isolated for what, Dan? 8, 9 days, something like that.
Yeah, it's about like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're definitely getting on each other's nerves and our family's nerves. So,
the big question, people are saying, well, this is like that blackout in New York years ago. There are going to be a lot of babies coming to this. I go, no, I think going to be a lot of murders and a lot of divorces. And, I'm trying to encourage parents who now are doing e-learning that always thought homeschooling would be so cool. Do not hurt your children. Please get help. Do no harm.
Yeah, my mom tried homeschooling and it was a no-go.
Yeah.
We lasted 3 weeks in kindergarten.
In kindergarten, wow. Now, part of your craziness, I see, for those who are watching, is behind you. Is that a new yes man that you've got back there that you talk to and ask questions of? And
I thought that was just my imagination. No, that's that's Kirby McCook, and the book for kids 8 to 12 is Kirby McCook and the Jesus Chronicles. And I'm actually, because they're home, I'm reading a story a day. It's a Bible story book, 52 of them, on FaceTime. And so
cool.
That's awesome.
Here's the book. I'll hold it up.
Yeah.
And won't apologize for the promotion. There it is.
That's
good. Let me read the subtitle. You guys have talked about this before, but
yeah.
A 12-year-old's take on the totally unboring, slightly weird stuff in the Bible, including fish guts, wrestling moves, and stinky feet. So it's not your grandmother's Bible story book.
Hey, while we're talking about it, how's it going with that? We did talk to you about 2-3 months ago. I don't recall. I'm almost 60, so I tend to lose track of who and where I am.
Yeah.
But how's it going with the book?
Really well. People love this book, and we're talking about turning Kirby into a video series. So it's going very well because there's nothing really like this for kids that upholds the truth of the Bible and yet is sarcastic and disrespectful of all other things. So
that's good. It sounds like my kind of story. I like it.
Yeah, unique combination. Well, I'm a teaching pastor at Northview Church, and we're the third fastest growing church in America. And I'd like a better title than this, but they call me the sarcastic pastor. I don't know if that's...
It's your spiritual gift, right?
It is. Not everybody can be sarcastic and a Christian at the same time.
Exactly.
Steve Arterburn of New Life Live. Steve, as we mentioned earlier, you are at home there quarantined, and we are...
No, I'm at the office quarantined.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right.
My office.
Okay. Oh, my gracious.
I'm learning dictation while we're here. Yeah.
So what are you hearing from callers, from friends, from family about the pandemic? How are they reacting?
Well, I think we've kind of gone from a fear that I might get it to a fear that we may never get over it. That this thing may not end. And then just the consequences, financial consequences for so many people. I think that the financial part of this is even bigger now. And just one of the worst things that I've seen happen are people walking around saying, God didn't give us a spirit of fear. Well, hey, yeah, right. But come on. I'm telling folks, if you're, Andy of Mayberry, if you're in Mayberry in the middle of the day in front of the sheriff's office and you're afraid of somebody stealing from you or hurting you, that's kind of unrealistic. But if you're in a dark alley and there's a big figure and the street lights behind you and you see a shadow of a gun in one hand and a knife in another, fear would be something that you'd want to have because it would ignite stuff in you to take action. So telling people God didn't give us the spirit of fear, I got to tell you, there's this great quote from Martin Luther from back in 1543 in the plague days. And this pastor wrote him and said, what do we do here, you know? And Martin Luther said this. He said, I am going to ask God to mercifully protect me from this virus. And now I shall fumigate. That's what isn't that great? I mean, that's what we ought to be doing. We need to ask God to help us, and then we need to do whatever we can to stay sane and to protect ourselves. And he also goes on to say, I'm not going to be around anybody I don't have to. He says, I shall infect them and they shall die as a result of me being irresponsible. So a lot of people are afraid. And I would just say some fear is natural. Let's don't shame people that are. And if it's the kind of paralyzing, depressing kind of fear because you had all this other stuff happening before this, get some help for that. Talk to somebody about it. But, one of the things that we need is we need to stay connected in any way possible. Use technology, figure out how to do Zoom or Skype meetings or FaceTime with other people. And the more you're trying to reach out to other people, then the less you're going to be obsessed with your own fears and insecurities.
We're talking with Steve Arterburn of New Life. Now, one thing that I read in a news story the other day, Steve, and I immediately thought of you and your ministry, especially with the Everyman's Battle. I read a news story that porn sites are having a huge influx of people because of this pandemic and people just having a lot of time on their hands and not having a lot to do. What would you say to folks who might be struggling with that right now? Well,
of course. Absolutely. If you don't have a lot of sporting events to look at and things, it's really sad. You tend to go south rather than north.
Right.
And, if you're disconnected, a lot of time on your hands, you're depressed or you're angry, well, you've discovered that pornography gives you that little mood alteration there. But here again, in this horrible, horrible time where, the Me Too movement has really helped us see a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy that in this era that people think pornography is okay, and it's the most degrading, demeaning, dehumanizing thing of women. And I think one of the problems, guys, is when you think pornography, some people think a picture of a centerfold, and that's what they think pornography is. No, you have. I don't even want to describe it, but pornography is a movie of a woman being treated and doing the most horrendous stuff. And, you think, oh, well, she's making good money. She chose that. No, 87% of those women would not be doing that if they could find another way to make a living. And when you click on pornography like that, that's your most direct link to sex trafficking, because most of those people got hooked into it. And, Morgan, you gotta have a real heart for this, for just the way men treat women in general, and a lot of that is because these men get pornified.
Right, and I do have a heart. I have a huge heart for victims of sex trafficking. I've had a heart for that since I was about 14 years old at a girls' camp that I was at, and they brought up the A21 campaign. And when I started to realize the gravity of the situation that girls my age were in, and they had no control over.
Yeah.
And so when all the different movements came out about sex trafficking, I got on board. But then in early college, I actually was in a relationship where my boyfriend was addicted to pornography and basically, was getting help, but didn't really seem to be wanting the help and basically refused to get better from it. And I told him, I was like, this is going to affect our relationship. I'm willing to walk with you through it, but it hurts me. And if we get married, our future kids, I don't want them being exposed to that. And, having someone that's addicted to something as degrading as pornography to not only marriages and relationships, but also kids.
So what
And
happened?
we broke up.
Well, Morgan,
but not over that. We ended up, there were a lot of different things that the Lord was guiding me on in the Holy Spirit when I prayed. I just realized that we were not equally yoked in some ways. And so that relationship ended. Now I'm with my fiance, who is incredible and has an amazing story. And, I've seen God work through so many different ways in him. And he's in light to so many boys that he mentors.
Well, I don't want to be trite and say you're 1 in a million. So I'm going to say you're 1 in a billion. Because,
right.
Really, so many young women have this thing. I'd rather be attached to something sick than not attached to anything at all. And so they hang on to this thinking, well, once we're married, it'll all go away. No, it doesn't. It gets worse. Everybody has discovered that. So I really applaud you for that. And I just wish more. And here's the thing. If a woman your age or younger would say no, then not like your case where a lot of times they're not going to say, oh, I'm just going to continue. They might say, okay, what do I need to do? How do I fix this? I do care about you. I got into this and I don't want to be in this. If they'd stand up for what's right, you'd see some guys responding to that.
I completely agree. And what scares me the most is I'm the social media manager here for Faith Talk. And I love seeing all the content you guys put out and retweeting and sharing because I think it impacts so many people. And what scares me is the amount of young girls that I see on social media condoning pornography and saying, well, it's not right to tell your boyfriend not to do that. And it just breaks my heart because they have such a warped view of love and their worth and value. And I think a lot of it is our culture and the way it's shaping them. And I love programs like yours that really helps to fight that.
Thank you.
And to reshape that culture and show parents this is what our kids are facing and this is how you can help them.
Well, my wife facilitates a support group for women, recovery group, who have sexual integrity problems. And a lot of times you certainly wouldn't see that group and you wouldn't see it at a church. But a lot of these women got into pornography, and they come together now and they're connecting as women. And one woman, literally in the middle of the sex change process, just stopped it because she found what God's love is about and what love of other women's about. And it's really sad because she will always sound like a man now, but I'm telling you, she is one thrilled, happy person that she found truth and found community. Right. And that, whatever counterfeit or whatever lie you bought into, I really believe God has provided for us. And, Morgan, we as men, we always hear how connected women are. But I found that's the headline. But a lot of times when you get into it, they've got this secret life too. You're not really being open woman to woman either. What's that?
I said no.
Yeah. So
there's a lot of things my best friend didn't know that I was going through that I shared after the fact that I should have shared in, and she could have walked alongside me with it. I mean, we have this very secret life for fear of, shame or what other people think. And I think men go through that too. But it is definitely a problem.
Yeah.
Wow. Steve Arterburn. Listen, Steve, we got to go to a break. We would love to pick up back with you. I believe you'll be out of the office by the time we get back to you, maybe next week or the week after, and check on you and see the state of where we all are in this pandemic and how we not only can go through it, but hey, what are we going to face on the other side? So let's get together. If you don't mind, we'll do that. And of course, folks can go to newlife.com and they can call 800 New Life to find out more about what's going on there.
And I'll tell you what my medication dosage is at that time.
Awesome. Steve Arterburn, we'll be back. I'm Rick Probst.
I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
And I'm Morgan.
This is Faith Talk Live. Stay there.